Hi guys, I hope you're doing great. This video is part 2 of my Excel tips and tricks series. The link for part 1 can be found in the description of this video. Before discussing the agenda of this video, if you guys haven't subscribed to my channel, take a second to subscribe so that you don't miss any upcoming video. Without further talks, the agenda of this video is as under. If you have to give a presentation of the data which is residing on one of the Microsoft products, you can do that simply with Office Remote. This is an application which is available for Android as well as Mac, and you need to install that application on your smartphone, and you need to have a plugin here in your desktop application. So this is going to be Office Remote. Once you have the plugin, you can connect easily using Bluetooth with your smartphone, and you don't need to stand next to your laptop to control your presentation. You can just move around in the presentation room, and you can do all of the control right away with your smartphone. You even have a look of the current slide and also the upcoming slides, so pretty handy for the presentations. Considering the case in which you have a Microsoft Excel file and you're adding some data to this file on a regular basis, and basically you're appending new data on this file on a regular basis, so it doesn't matter if it's textual data, if it's numerical data, if it contains dates. You need to perform some sort of data validation, and you need to restrict the input fields. For example, considering these customers and they have some age, and we know the age, let's suppose the age is not greater than 100. So in order to avoid that someone enters a bigger date in this field, we need to restrict it. For example, right now if I enter 777, this has accepted it, but this shouldn't be the case. So with Excel, you can perform this by going to data. Okay, first of all, you need to select that specific column, ignore header, and then you need to select data. You need to select this data validation option and click on data validation. Here you need to specify that this column is basically whole numbers between, so we specify 1 and 100. And in the second place, we're going to give it some sort of let's suppose hint to the users who are entering. For example, enter between 1 and 100. Yep, there we go. So this is going to be the hint for our data entry people, and then I select OK. So with that, now if someone comes on this column, they automatically see the hint, enter between 1 and 100. If I select here 777, now this is going to stop me right away, and then I need to retry, and then I'm gonna give 67, and then it accepts the value. And this is not only the case with the numeric value. If you have text, you want to restrict the length of the text, textual data, you can also do that with this data validation function. One another case could be when you want to parse one single column into multiple columns. Consider it as delimited data, or maybe it's just one line of data that you want to parse based on some delimiter. It could be space, it could be comma, it could be anything. So I consider this case, I have complete names of some of the customers, and I want to basically split this into first name and last name. What I need to do is I need to select this data set. I need to know that the delimiter in this case is a space. I select data, and then I need to do this text to columns, and here it asks me for the delimiter, and I say delimited, then I move on, and here I'm gonna specify space. I remove tab, and we can see it has automatically identified, and then I select, and then this is going to ask me the destination. So I'm gonna put this destination, let's suppose somewhere here. and then I select OK and then finish. So I can see right away it has splitted the first name and the last name with just a few clicks. We can also consider another case in which we have a comma, so we can do it also right away. We need to go to text to columns, and by the way, if you have a fixed width values, so you can specify that the first 10 characters are going to be the first name, the next or last name, depending on the situation and requirements. In this case, I'm going to specify a comma, and I can see uh, so I specify exactly this place and then finish. So exactly the same way we can delimit and we can parse the data. If you have a tabular data set with one or n number of columns and you want to remove the duplicates from that data set, you can do it right away inside Excel with the built-in functions. So for example, if I consider these rows, so I can see currently there is no duplicate data, and I'm going to intentionally add some duplicate data here. I add this once again, I add this. So now I can see I have these three duplicate rows, and in this case I'm considering all of the columns combined as one individual entity, and if this is duplicate corresponding to other records, this needs to be removed. So what I need to do is I need to select this data set, I need to go to here data, and I need to select here remove duplicates, and this is going to ask me if I want to consider all of the columns during the duplicate removal process, and I say yes, then I select OK. Two duplicate values have been found and removed. Okay, so we can see the two duplicates that were staying right at this point have already been removed. So that's how you can remove duplicates. We can consider another case in which we have a lot of data and we cannot manually analyze and explore the hidden patterns in the data and the quality of the data. So we can do it by this filter option in Microsoft Excel. So what you need to do is you need to select the entire data set, you need to go to data, and you need to select filter. When you select it, automatically you see these small icons popping up here, and I would like to see, for example, how many regions I have in total. So in this case I have these three regions. If I want to select data of a particular region, I simply need to go there and I can simply see that specific data. So it's good to analyze the data right away. You can do it with other columns also. If the size of the data increases significantly and we have a lot of columns and rows in our data set, so sometimes the data content is extending beyond the column width. So what we generally do is we double click on that column, on this line, and automatically it maps to the correct and the maximum width. So this is only for one column. If we want to do it for the entire data set, some people they just select the data and then they double click here, but in Microsoft Excel we can do it in just one click. If we select this small thing on the top left, then complete Microsoft Excel sheet will be selected, and then we need to select at any of these column headers. So we double click and we can see automatically the length, basically the width of each column, it basically adjusts accordingly. If you have a big or small data set right on the web and you want to import it right directly from there, instead of exporting it to a file and then importing the file inside Microsoft Excel, you can do it right away inside Excel with just a few clicks. What you need to do is you need to go to data, you need to select from web, and basically before that let's copy this link. So this is the link that we want to use to copy data from, and we need to understand there should be some tabular data on that web page. So now this is opening up. Once the web link is pasted, you need to hit go and automatically the web link will be displayed here, and then you need to specify the table that we want to read from that table, from that website. For example, in this case we have this table that we want to import, and we click on this green button and select import, and we can see it's going to ask us the address, and we specify, and automatically we have the data right with just a few clicks. vlookup or vertical lookup, this is a very handy and very useful function for performing lookups on the data which resides on one or multiple Microsoft Excel sheets. So the way we control this function is we have 4 arguments for this function, and in this case we have a fruit peach, and we want to know the value on Monday for this fruit. By seeing this table we can find right away that peach has the value 166, but how does the computer know? So we need to give the reference of peach in the first place, and then the series in which peach will be compared, which is this series. In the third place, specify the position of the column from which the value will be picked up, and in the fourth place, let's ignore this for now, and by performing this function we can see the value of 166 will be automatically retrieved. hlookup or horizontal lookup, this is also another function for performing lookups on the data which resides on one or multiple sheets, which basically spreads on different sheets. So the way this function works is it's exactly the opposite of vlookup, which is vertical lookup. So we need to see that we are performing this lookup on a horizontal basis. So horizontal means this way, and we have this planet Earth for which we want to know the diameter. So it takes basically 4 arguments. In the first place we need to specify the reference of this Earth. In the second place we have the series by which or with which this value Earth will be compared, and in the third place is the position of the basically row. So we can see here we have this that's the second row, so we specify 2, and then we have false. So horizontal lookups just looks up for the data and picks the data from the right and mentioned row, and then we have the data. And basically there are so many tutorials already on YouTube, so I don't want to go in detail mentioning and explaining those things. So you can find a bunch of different tutorials if you want to have a look in detail, but this is very useful for data analysis. So pivot table, this is a table of statistics that summarizes the data from more extensive table. This summary might include sums, averages, or other statistics which the pivot table groups together in a meaningful way. So pivot table is basically, it comes in as a plugin on the desktop application for Mac as well as Windows, and this is used for performing a lot of really very nice summarizations and aggregations, and it's anyone can understand this in just a few minutes. So basically let's suppose you have some data set. I don't want to go into the detail because I know there are plenty of different tutorials already on YouTube which explain how pivot table works. I just want to mention that this is a very important function that you need to understand when you want to work with the data analysis and data exploration projects. So we have this data set, and we want to see the aggregated sum for each of this category of these colors. So we can see for blue the sum of sales is this one. So we don't do it manually, but this complete grouping as well as the summarization is performed right away with just a few clicks using the pivot table. So go and have a look in detail for the pivot table. With that being said, thanks a lot for watching the video. If you guys haven't subscribed my channel till now, kindly spare a second to subscribe now, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.